This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Is it audible and screen is visible or not? Can anyone
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
confirm?
Yes, sir.
screen is
Yeah, it's
visible.
visible.
You're audible.
Okay. So, so let's discuss means what we are going to, what is shell scripting, right? So first of all, we are going to understand that why shell scripting, right? Why shell scripting is required in our industry. So shell scripts can be used to prepare input files like you can do job monitoring and output processing. So it is also useful to create your own command, right? It can be custom made command and which also saves lot of time in file processing, and it also helps us to automate some task of day-to-day life, right? And system administration, of course, part can be also be automated, right? So what do you mean by here? Mean if I'm saying automation of some task, right? Suppose you want to create some 100 files, so 100 new files or 100 new directories at a time. So if you do it manually, so it will take lot of time. If you want to create folder one at a time, like you were doing in GUI, right, in Windows or something else, it will take lot of time. So by the help of this scripting, what we can do, we can automate it. Why to create each time, why to create each folder, right, one at a time. Instead of that, what we can do, if you want to create 100 directories, so just we can write one script for that, so that we can get 100 directories, right? So this is just a small example, like what do you mean by means automation, right? So it will automate of creating 100 directories. So also in it is useful to create own commands. It means suppose we have seen, so like we didn't see, right? So in some cases, right? So there are long commands. So let's say some program is there. So that program has to be used multiple number of times with the other subroutines, right? So in that case, what we can do? So we can just merge in one program, and we can develop one command. So command is nothing but a program, right? So you might have means those who are present here. I mean, I think everyone has worked on Linux means at some point, at least at some point. Can I get yes?
True.
Yes, we have.
Okay, so fine. So that's good. So it means what? You know that there are some commands, right? So what is command? Command is just a program. We all know that. So suppose you want to create your own program which can have multiple subroutines and programs, and now you can merge all those subroutines into one program, and you can create your own command. So whenever you run that command, it will run all those subroutines with the main program, right? That is how it is useful. So you do not have to write separate subroutines for the task. So that will be helpful if you are using shell scripting, right? So
Yes.
what are the objectives and prerequisites required? So objectives here that we are going to target, right? So after this course, you will be familiar with Unix, Linux, Bash, right? Bash or shell variables and operators. So you will be able to write simple shell script to illustrate program logic. So you will be in a status to write shell scripts. So you will be at the stage where you can do some research on your scripts, right? So you will be able to write scripts for research and computing process purposes. It means what you can use for different number of number of applications in different ways. So it is very powerful. So I assume that you means you have knowledge of simple basic Unix, Linux and commands. So even though you do not have, I will just take initial few 1 or 2 sessions on the basic Unix Linux command. So can I know how many people know basic Unix Linux command?
Yeah, yes, I am
By
aware the
basic,
basic Unix
what
command.
commands you mean?
Basics in the sense text processing and file handling.
Yeah,
Yes. So can I get
um,
yes means if no also it's fine, right? If no, there is no issue in that because initial session I will be taking the basic Linux Unix command so that we all get in one line. Okay.
yeah, that is
So
good
no
actually.
problem. Yeah. So we'll all get in one sync, even though if you are not comfortable with those basic commands, right? So we will also discuss all many lot of examples with respect to each command that how each command can be used in different various ways. Right? That also we will see so that we can get the max utility from each command so that we know how to merge all those command in our script. Okay. Also, you might be knowing some Unix editor, Unix or Linux editor like gvim, vi, emacs. So I think this everyone knows, right? Any text editor? Can I get yes? Means from everyone.
Yes, GVim. We
Yes,
have worked with GVim.
Okay, that's
yeah,
good.
giving the basic command we are used in intelligence there.
Yeah, yeah, that is good. So GVM is nothing but a text editor. Even though if you do not know, so you do not have to worry for that. So it's just a text editor, right? So history of Unix and Linux, that is what. So it is designed so that user can extend the functionality to build new tools easily and efficiently, to customize the shell and user interface, right? To string together a series of Unix commands to create new functionality. So as this point has already been discussed, right? Suppose you have different set of commands and you want to use with a different functionality. Okay, so the functionality which you are getting, you can compile that into one command, and that command can be used multiple number of times. That is what I said. Means you can create your own command. So to create custom made commands that do exactly what we want, right? So Linux is very powerful. So next is what is Linux or Unix, right? So what is Unix and Linux? We all know, right? So what is Unix and Linux? So it is operating system, right?
Yes,
Yes,
Yes, right. So it is a multitasking operating system and a multi-user operating system where you can provide permission to others, right? Other users, group users, or yourself, right? So there are available Unix OS on range of computers. So what is the difference between Unix, Linux, and Windows? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me like what is the difference here? Basic difference between the Linux OS and Windows OS?
that I don't know,
Yes,
but
Venkat.
we will use for this for operating system, but that is different user. This is for the, I mean, development users. We will use for Linux development use,
Yes.
but
So why you are
the-
using for the developmental purpose? why Linux OS is preferred? Yes, you are absolutely right that it is a command line program or kernel is different, correct? So,
Yeah.
but the basic, yes, it is used for a developmental purpose because of its speed and uh, because of its open source resource availability, right? If you see in Windows, lot of the packages are very restricted, which you cannot access, right? But in Unix and Linux itself, you can create your own OS. You can by using the basic base kernel, right? The base kernel is easily accessible, that is open source to all. So you can see that Sun OS or which is developed by Sun Microsystems. IRIX is developed by Silicon Graphics. HP user interface, right? HP Unix is developed by Helvet HP, right? AIX is developed by IBM. So even you can develop your own Linux OS and you can give your own name, right? It means like the base kernel is open source in Linux. So it provides you liberty to use packages as you want. But that is not in the case of Windows OS. That is very restricted and have lot of copyright licenses. So for that you have to take permission from the Windows or Microsoft, right? So that is the major difference. That is why Linux and Unix are widely preferred because of its speed, because of its executability, and it is uh, if you see in Windows are more prone to viruses also, right? So viruses are nothing but the programs. So but Unix and Linux is robust in against the viruses, right? What are viruses? Viruses are nothing just programs, right? So Windows are very prone to viruses, we all know. But you will never heard or means you can see bugs, but you will never heard of virus in respect to Linux. So that is what advantage we have. Right? So this is the basic architecture of Linux if you see, right? So it is divided into different layers. So the core part of your Linux is the your kernel, right? So kernel where you have resource allocation. So this is you are having CPU. In CPU you have what? OS. That is what? Kernel. So kernel where you have a base OS which is there in core, right? So next layer you are having shell, right? So what do you mean by shell? So we'll discuss that in next slide. So which can have command language interpreters and interface to the other OS parts, right?
Yes.
Excuse me, I got a power cut here. So just wait, we'll wait for 5 minutes.
Fine.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, we were discussing about the architecture of Linux, right? So the third layer is shell, right? Where which is used to communicate between your hardware and your programs, right? So programs like list processors and text processors programmer's tool, programming language, so which is used for network and communication, right? In the last layer, that is crust of your sphere, you have all sorts of applications, right? We'll discuss all these. So what is shell, right? So shell can be called as simple, just a program, right? On top of the kernel, right? So kernel is located in core, so which provides a basic human interface to OS, right? Suppose if you want to communicate with the operating system, so how you are going to communicate, right? So shell will help you in that process. If you want to do, if you want to communicate with OS, so that shell will help you to do that. So if you see in Windows, so that is not available, right? Lot of things are restricted. Okay. So it is a command interpreter, right? Built on top of kernel, which enables the user to run services provided by Unix or Linux OS, right? So in its simplest form, a series of command in file, right, is a shell program that saves having to retype commands to perform common tasks. So what do you mean by this? What we mean, right? It is a series of commands. So whenever you are just running it, running some shell script or something, or just any command. Let's say there is one command called cd, right? So we all know, like most of you also know, that cd is nothing but change directory. So whenever that command is executed, so it is talking with OS, right? So as a user, as a human being, so we are just telling to change the directory using shell. So what OS will reply to us? Okay, I have changed the directory to this particular specified directory. So it is a interface between human and OS, or user and OS. So how to know what shell you use, right? What is your current shell? So you can use the command called as echo $shell. If you have laptops with you, you can just check. You can do echo $shell, or else you can do which. So you can just type which. So you can type. So this is also one command. So W is in lowercase, which $shell. Okay. So in this way you can check uh, on what shell you are working on, currently working on, right? So what are all different types of shells we have, right? We have Bourne shell, that is also called as bash, right? The Bourne again shell is called as bash. So you have simple shell, that is Bourne shell. Then you have C shell. So C shell is having C-like syntax. Okay. Then we have Corn shell, which is developed by a person named Corn. Okay. So it is like a combination syntax structure of Bourne as well as C shell. Okay. The most simplest shell is TCSH. TCSH is nothing but tool command shell. So mostly used for tool purposes, right? So Turbo C shell is there, right? Which is more user friendly C shell. So we have already discussed that to check your shell, current shell, you can use echo $shell, or you can do which shell, right? Suppose if you want to switch from one shell to another shell, you're working on some system, and suppose you want to change from bash shell to CSH mode or CSH shell. So just we need to type the shell name, or we can use exec, right? So it will change your current shell to the shell which you want, right? It will keep converting, it will be changing the current shell into the shell which is you want in your system, if you want to work on that, right? So just you can simply type what? Bash Or if you want to change from bash to CSH, so you can just type CSH, so your shell will be changed. So which shell to use, right? So see, the shell, the simplest shell, right? The normal shell is what? Considered better for programming, that is SH. CSH was considered better for interactive work. So whenever like you want to invoke some tool, there are some EDA tools are there, so which are used for design automation. AutoCAD tools are there, which are used for design automation. So where you need to work with tool or you need to invoke with tool, in those cases CSH is more better preference because you need interactive work with some other tool. Right? Then we have TCSH, right, and con. So where improvements on C shell and Bourne shell has done respectively. But in shell scripting, right? So Bash is largely compatible with SH and also many of the nice feature you can do with the shell, right? So Bash is widely used in shell scripting. So on many such system on means as our Linux cluster, shell is a symbolic link to Bash. So what is this slash bin slash sh, right? What is this? So it is just an interpreter, right? So it is a interpreter. So whenever we are writing one script, so you need to add interpreter also, right? In that way, the tool will understand, okay, what I need to interpret into, right? So we recommend that you use Bash for writing new shell or Bash for writing new shell scripts. But so I will also recommend that you should learn CSH and TCSH to understand existing scripts, right? So scientific application, like I said, so CSH and TCSH environment is mostly used for electronic design automation or AutoCAD tools. So where you have graphic user interface or graphics utility interface, right? Where you need to work on graphics. So CSH and TCSH is more friendly and compatible in those environments, right? So where we come to a generalized or general shell scripting, so Bash is very nice to work on. So in this course, we are going to learn on Bash scripting so that it is so general that you can use with all environment, right? So all Linux version, right? All Linux version uses Bash shell, so there will be no problem of compatibility, right? So Bash can be used in all sort of Linux shells. All Unix system include C shell and its predecessor Bourne shell, that is CSH and TCH prompt. So that can be used, right? So the prompt which is used for Bash is dollar, right? And for CSH and TCSH, prompt is used as percentage. Okay. So but what is the shell script, right? You're thinking what is shell script? The script is nothing just a program, right? The shell script is nothing just a program which has two key ingredients. That is Unix or Linux based commands, right? There are some commands like ls, list, cd, mkdir, and there are some advanced commands also, right? And these all commands are merged to form one program, followed by proper syntax. So that is nothing but your script. So which you can run n number of times for your routine task. Right? If you want to do some task which you want to use multiple number of times, so why to write program or why to write same commands multiple times? Instead, we can write one script and we can run it multiple times whenever we want. Okay. So shell programming. So programming features in Unix shells, which we are going to learn here, that what are all shell variables. Okay. So your scripts often need to keep values. It needs to store some values in memory for later use. So shell variables are symbolic names that can access values stored in memory. So we need some values to store in our memory, right? And operators that is required for some operations like arithmetic operations or logical operations. So in our scripting, we need those kind of operators also. That also we will learn what are all different operators. So shell scripts support many operators, including those performing mathematical operation as well as logical operation, right? And logic structures, of course. So shell script supports sequential logic. So for performing a series of commands, logics for branching from one point in script to another script, right? So in script to another, right? So looping logic, this also we will learn. So how to loop some logic, how to write the decision structure, how to write the sequential structure, and how to write the case-based logic. So if this is the case, then execute this case, right? We'll also learn about case logic for choosing an action from several possible alternatives. Okay. So we are also going to learn means with a good number of examples, right? How to do. So we will also learn about advanced commands in scripting like grep, sed, and awk. So grep is just used for pattern searching. So we'll use this grep with a different variation that how it can be used and how it can be used in script. Sed is just a text editor. Okay. So it is also called a stream text editor or stream text editor where you can edit your text with a different ways, right? So here are some simple examples that you can use grep and you can write pattern here, right? The pattern here is boo, B-O-O, and the file name. So what this grep is going to do, it is going to search this pattern and it is going to report. So depends on what option you are using, whether if you want the count of number of pattern matching. It will show the particular file will have these number of patterns which is repeating. Okay, it will show the count. So this is very helpful to scan in one file for searching or to do some operation for replacement. Yes, this is very nice command. These grep, sed, and awk. So if you see sed, where you can edit the text in just simple ways, right? You do not have to open the file or you do not have to just uh, write some 3-4 lines command. In single line command itself, you can edit any text. Right here is some example, right? So S is standing for substitute and G stands for global. So it is just a way to write, right? If you see the substitute what, so wherever there is XYZ in lowercase, so it will be get substituted with so the XYZ in uppercase, it will be get substituted with XYZ in lowercase, right? So you can give file name. So this is one example of sed, right? So what does awk does? So awk does both things, pattern scanning as well as processing. So awk is very powerful. So it will do pattern searching as well as processing. So what do you mean by $4 and $7 and what it means print? So awk is so powerful that you can write complete program in one line using awk. Okay. If you want to write some program, you can just write complete program in one line using awk. So if you see in this example, so it is saying to print column 4 and column 7, right? In suppose there is a big huge table which have n number of columns and so n number of rows. So it will print those values if you suggest it to print, right? For the particular file. Okay. So we'll discuss all greps said in org in very good manner with lot of examples we'll see, and also we'll move towards scripting, where we will see the utility and usage of these advanced commands. Okay. So there are other some of the advanced structures also there. So we'll discuss that also. So what are all wide range of applications where you can make use of shell scripting, right? So you can easily, so after learning shell scripting, you can easily do file management and viewing, right? You can use in file system management, like if you are a system administrator, so that will be very helpful if you learn shell scripting, right? If you are in a job like file handling or a receptionist, or you are a HR, right? So, or even you are some design engineer, or you are some software engineer where you need to handle, where you need to do project management. In these everything, shell scripting is very, very helpful. So it also helps you in the process management, network management, system management, right? Printing and programming, so document preparation, right? So all these are applications for shell scripting. So what will be the course outcome? So after we complete this shell scripting, right? So mostly it will be completed between 4 to 5 weeks. So you will get an hands-on lot of different types of exercises where you are going to learn writing and running the shell scripts. You will learn all basic shell commands, or let's say it is a Linux or Unix commands, as well as some shell structures, okay, which are basic. So that also you are going to learn. You're going to learn how to use control structure and flow control in shell script. You're going to learn input and output handling. And also then we'll move towards we'll discuss advanced topics also with respect to shell scripting. That how we can use functions and script organization. That is what? That is called as modularizing the script. So if you want to make it more modularized, where you can use n number of scripts, then we can see string manipulation and regular expression, right? Where we can play with patterns, creation of patterns, how we can create a lot of patterns, right? So then we can also see pattern matching with grep, sed, and awk. We'll also learn about file handling, reading, writing, and appending the files. So scripting techniques and tips. Also, then at last I'll give you some techniques and tips which will be helpful for writing your scripts, right? So so this is the end of the demo. Just I'll give you one short demo on how these codes work. I'll just display that. So just give me 2 minutes. So meanwhile, if you have any questions, any doubts, so you can just ask me. So just give me 2 minutes. I'll be sharing the screen.
This conference will now be recorded.
Abhijit is asking how we can use shell in backend design. So what do you mean by backend design, Abhijit? Can you be specific? Like if you want to use with some tools you are asking, like
So, hi, good
GUI
morning, sir.
tools? Yes, Abhijit, please tell.
Ye- so I mean to say, like, whatever we have the uh, design already designed by some user, and we want to
Mhm,
make a changes like with respect to VIA or something metal. So can we have any
mhm.
script to change that once and execute the script? In that case, I'm asking.
Oh, you mean with respect to VLSI, EDA tools, right?
Yeah,
So
EDA
where,
tools.
okay, so yes, of course you can do that. You can do that using shell scripting. So if you want to
Okay,
change
sure.
some metal layers, you want to change, it
Ye-
is just a string, right? So you have one file,
Yes.
let's say you have one technology file, right? In technology file,
Ye-
you have all metal layer names. And if you
Uh-huh.
want to change any metal layer names, so what we can do? So we can use some advanced commands like sed, awk, right? So you can
Yes.
replace with new metal layers wherever you want. You can do also
Uh-huh.
column-wise operation, and you can write script for the routine task. You can automate it. You can do n number of times now. Yes, we can do that.
Okay, sure, sir. Thanks a lot. I thought only Tickle can do those things. So,
No, no, no. So you can do that. See, Tickle is more with respect to EDA tools, right? Because your EDA tools are written on Tickles, right? So it is more
Mhm.
friendlier to your tools. There are some commands in Tickle which are directly linked with your tools. So that is why in some or in most cases, when you are working on EDA tools, they will use those specific scripting codes, right? Tickle. But here, this is very generalized. So this shell scripting can be used anywhere you want, from administration to GUI. Like I already said, if you are working with the graphics thing, GUI thing, so more preferable is CSH and Conn shell. And if you are working with the files or like a backend files, so you can go with the bash scripting. Okay.
yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. So yes, so let's see this one. So here is one example, right? If it is visible to us, so we can see this. So what it will do, so by seeing the code itself, you can get some idea that we can write such scripts, right? So to monitor system resources and log the data into a file, right? Sometimes you are like an administrative manager or administrative engineer, and your work is to means monitor all the system resources which is present inside your company, and you want to monitor every system. So it is not feasible, or it is not a simplistic way that you go to every system and check what is the properties, what is the CPU usage. That is very tedious task, right? So the best way is to your all server works on Linux OS, right? And let's connect all server to your system, local system, right? So then in that case, what we can do, we can run such script to monitor all system resources, right? So from server side, as an administrative engineer, what you can do, you can just run, you can write some scripts, right? In which you can get the uh, system resources like timestamp, like in the I mean current time on which that system is running, its CPU usage, how much CPU is used currently, and every memory usage. Suppose you have a 8 GB RAM or 16 GB RAM in your system. So what is the system usage of a specific user? So you can read it. And all these information can be logged into one file. So you can log it, right? So that can be done with a particular interval of time, right? Let's say in this code, if you see, so I am doing it for every 5 seconds. So what I will do here, for every 5 seconds, I will be just monitoring each and every system, right? I will be monitoring for every 5 seconds. I will be monitoring the system, and I will be capturing the system resources, and I will be storing into one file, one log file, right? Okay, just wait. So this is what it is doing. So we'll try to understand this. So I'm just waiting for the permission from the admin side because I do not have permission on server. So let's check whether I okay permission. So, mm, okay. So just wait. I'll check. So it says no permission. So okay, fine. We'll continue discussing other things. So meanwhile, we get the permission. So if you see this code, right? So where is it? So so just give me 2 minutes. I'll just close and open again. So I think I got permission. So just wait.
This conference will now be recorded.
So if you see this, so we have some information here, right? So just I'll increase the font because it's so if you see what are the system resources it is capturing, right? It is capturing the timestamp, CPU usage, and memory usage. Okay. And suppose if you want to check, right? So suppose if you want to check date here, so we'll just write date. So you can see my system date, my system resource date is date and day, month, and with respect to time zone also. So it is printing. So if I want to get my CPU usage, right? You can see this is my CPU usage. So you can see whatever systems which are running and what is the percentage usage. You can see that also, right? Also, if you want to check the memory usage, right? If you want to get the memory usage, you can just use, right? So you can see how many memory, what is the memory which is free, right? And how much memory I'm using it. So it is showing that. So this is for my system, right? Because I am checking from here itself. But as a server or you are like an administrator, right? You are like a server administrator. So you can access each and every system which you want. So if you want to print all those system resources, you can store those content, whatever I content I've shown, the memory content and the CPU usage and the time zone, right? That all information can be stored in one log file, right? And that can be refreshed every 5 seconds. So that is called as this process is called as monitoring. For every 5 seconds, so you're running one while loop, so it will keep on running, right? It will be keep on running for every 5 seconds. It will be keep on updating for every 5 seconds. So currently there is some permission issue. So we'll check with that because I'm not the system administrator. So just I'll uh, run this script and we'll see what happens. So currently there is, so it is not allowing me to edit the log file, right? Because I'm not the administrator, right? So if you see for every 5 seconds, it is trying to update. It's still not updating, but see, you can see for every 5 seconds, it will keep on running into the indefinite loop. Like an infinite loop, it is monitoring until you make it stop, right? Is it clear? So this is one
It's
example.
clear.
This is one application which you can have if you are a system administrator, right? You do not have to go to each and every system and check, right? So next, one more example I want to discuss here. Just I'll close this. Okay. So if you see this example, so if you see this example, right? So what this example is doing means what this script is doing. So this is also kind of monitoring as well as reporting, right? So this script example, shell script example, is also is an application, some application based example, which shows how we can do monitoring as well as reporting. Suppose you are in a report location, you are not in the server position, and you want to get it reported, right? What is happening? Like which system is on, which system is off, and what system means what kind of system is having some CPU usage, right? So what we can do here, so we can set CPU threshold. Okay, so here we can set CPU threshold, let's say 90, right? Here also memory threshold, let's say 90. So what do you mean by setting the CPU threshold? It means, so what it is going to do is, so it whenever, right? So whenever your CPU usage crosses 90 percentage, right? So immediately it should report the server admin or administrator, right? Or if memory usage, if it increases more than 90, immediately server admin should know, right? If it is crossing 90 percentage. So what will happen if your CPU usage or memory usage reaches 100%? why we should do this. First, we should understand why this script is required, why this application is required. So if you see why this is required, can anyone tell me, like, if your CPU usage or your memory reaches 100% usage, what will happen?
Our
Internet
system
will
runs
crash,
over
job
and
will
it crash.
Yes, if your CPU usage reaches 100%, the system will crash. It may be crashed, it may be shut down, right? Or it may be hanged. Not only if this is happening, it will also affect your server. If your system crashes, it will affect your server also because system is linked with server's RAM and usage CPU, right? So it should check that its CPU usage and memory usage should not cross for the given limit. So if your memory is completely used to 100%, so in some cases your memory can get burned, right? Or it can get damaged if it is in 100% usage. So to avoid all those worst situations, right? So what we can do, we can just go with uh, monitoring system, right? We can create one monitoring scripts or monitoring system where you can continuously monitor both CPU usage as well as memory threshold, memory usage, right? So here I have set memory threshold to 90%. So whenever your CPU usage and memory usage crosses 90%, immediately it should report to whom? It should report to administrator, right? System administrator. So suppose I'm giving my mail ID here, right? So what will happen? So whenever it crosses this percentage, right? So it will report to my mail wherever I am, right? Even I'm in any remote location. Immediately I'll get one message or I'll get one mail on this mail ID that your CPU usage and memory usage is crossing the limit. So immediately what I can do, I will kill all the process which are running in background on other system so that I can bring down the CPU usage as well as memory usage so that I can protect my server, right? So this is what one application or example which I am telling you here, where you can have uh, benefits to do this. Think about the different perspective where you do not know how to write the shell script. So how you are going to do? It will be very tedious task to go to every system and ask and check. First you have to check, right? Whether what is your CPU usage, what you are using, how many files you are dumping, right? If someone, let's say someone is playing some game, right? Let's say very high graphic game in his system. So what will be the CPU usage and memory usage? It will be spike like anything. Okay. So in that case, I cannot identify, right, which system is doing that. So in order to keep on monitoring and tracking, administration and the shell scripting is very efficient for these kind of applications. Okay. So this is just I have written some functions to monitor CPU usage. So as you are seeing, so there is one command to check CPU usage. Even you can check, right? If I write top, so you will get the CPU usage for your system. So how many users are using it and how many processes are running. So there is one more command if you want to check. So it is a continuous and dynamic in nature, not static. It is continuously updating every 2 seconds. If you write PS, so you will get the process which are running in the background, right? So what will happen? So these are all comments I have made. So so we will see how to use awk also, right? If you want to use top, So I'll just show you. Right? So just I'll show you this one, right? What does top minus BNL will do? Okay, if you do top minus BNL, right? Okay. So first we'll go with not okay. So it takes. So if you want to check any command, so you can just do man and you can go to right. Here you can see what are all options. So we have minus B minus N and so B is for bold highlights, right? So you can see the B is for batch mode, right? And C is command line. So I want N. So number of iterations it will show minus N. So if there is no iteration, it will not show. Simply it will not show. So similarly, so what then grep is doing? So grep will capture only the CPU percentage. So suppose what I'm going to match with. So I'm matching the threshold, right? So if you see, if I run this, where is the CPU percentage, right? You can see this one. So which column? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in ninth column, you are seeing the CPU percentage which is used. You can see for myself, it is 7.2 percentage and memory usage is 0.2 percent, right? So just I want to capture for CPU percentage here. So I'm just discussing logic which is used. So I'm capturing the CPU percentage every few seconds, right? So and it will be matched with the threshold CPU. So that is what 90%. So no value is greater than 90%. So it will not report. Same it will do for this memory, right? So you can use, see, this is what benefit is, right? You can write in one line itself. You do not have to write separately. So out of this complete thing, I am capturing only CPU percentage. So then I'll print what? Then I'll print only the content of that CPU percentage, right? Means that the percentage. Okay. So same I will do for the memory, right? So if you see memory is not given in percentage, it is given in the factors. So you have to convert into 1%, right? So then, so you can do main monitoring loop, right? What will happen in this main monitoring loop? So you can run one while loop, which will check every 5 minutes, right? Every 5 minutes it will check if your if your CPU usage is greater than 90%, then what it should do? It should mail the given mail ID, right, to the recipient. Okay. So these are just two examples. So based upon application. So we will see all these kinds of application based examples. But before this, right, before this, what we have to do? We have to learn all the basics which is required. So just wait. I'll just again come to that slide. Yes. So here we are going to learn all these. So we'll cover all these course outcomes. Okay. So we'll learn first. We'll run all the basic structure, right? The basic command and basic Linux structure, basic scripting, and how to write and execute. Then we'll learn also if the two examples which I have taken. So you can see it is a modularized script, right? That is example of modularized script where I was using functions. Okay. Also, I was using what? Also, I was capturing only certain type of values, type of data. That is only percentage of CPU percentage, right? So I was using grep, I was using awk. Awk is used to for command line, right? File handling. So file handling, I am not using it here, right? So these all can be used. So we learn all these steps, all these topics. So fine. If you have any queries and doubts, you can ask me. Yes, I'm open to questions. If you like to ask any question, if you have any question regarding course, or you can tell your expectation also.
Nothing from my side. Is it fine?
Okay. What about others? So I don't know whether you have done anything on Linux or Unix. Means what is your level at present? So if possible, can you please let me know? Means have you completed your Linux Unix? Have you worked anywhere with respect to what Linux and Unix or any scripting? Is there anyone who has done anything on scripting? So can I get yes or no?
Yes, I worked in electrical scripting,
Mhm.
just like gripping, grep, SED, and AWK.
Oh, then that will be very familiar to you. That is very nice news. You are in a very good position then. Is anyone else? Sushmita, Sanat, Abhishek, do you want to add anything?
No, sir, no, sir.
Okay.
No,
So, okay. Okay, Abhijit. Thanks for responding. So, okay, guys. Thank you, everyone. So, I'm ending this session if you do not have any queries. So, if you like this course, so we'll cover all this. So, I can assure that by the end of this course, you can. So, I will be focusing more on the utility of the shell scripting rather than learning, right? So, our goal should be not the learning any scripting, that our goal should be how to use that scripting as a skill in our job, right? So whatever we are going to learn, we should know how we can apply that in our jobs or in our skill set that can be used for our means convenience, right? So that we will target on more on that. Okay. So thank you guys. I'm ending this session. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, thank
So
you,
there
thank
was some disturbance. Thank you. You were very patient. Okay. Bye guys.
you. Bye.
Thank
thanks.
you.
Bye. Bye bye.